Greetings, and welcome to another Sunday Skill and Chill stream with your host Magebit. I got Hannah joining me as well. We're gonna have a good time, just chilling, doing some skilling, and plenty of RuneScape chat coming your way shortly here. Hey Esteban, how you doing? Zombie Pudding, what's going on? So if you're unfamiliar with this style of stream, it's basically an open Q&A to talk RuneScape. You can bring up any topic you'd like, and we'll cover them if we can. You know, we'll be just having a rolling discussion. Of course, it can go off topic as well, though, so we can talk things that can be completely unrelated as well, so feel free to bring those up also. And I should probably adjust the game that I'm playing on the old Twitch side of things. If you want to check out my last Escapists 2 stream, it's in the VOD section of Twitch, twitch.tv/Magebit. Anyways, let me go ahead and unmute myself here in Discord. Hey Hannah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, cool.
Hey.
Welcome to the stream,
Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to... Oh, I should probably switch over to the actual game, huh? It's tasty. There we go. I'm currently doing some fire making at the moment, but I could be persuaded to head to the beach, I guess, depending on if I should go for bubbles. I still haven't gotten bubbles.
Yeah, I'm gonna try some solo shifting tombs and probably give up. But, you know, figured I'd try it.
That would be interesting. I think shifting tombs is doable solo. A little less so if you're trying to have a conversation at the same time. That might make it a little bit harder.
That's what I'm kind of excited. I think they've made it even easier solo now. But
Yeah,
I haven't done
yeah.
shifting tombs since June.
I don't think I have either. Although, to be fair, I kind of took a break for July and kind of came back at the end of August.
I mean, the only thing I've really done at all is combat since since the middle of June, and even then it hasn't been much. I just haven't been in a
I killed a big spider
mood
with the help of Jake.
Yeah, I know you did. Well done.
Yeah, I'm proud of that. I'm on like 4 Araxi kills now. So that's pretty cool. I mean, for me at least, it's cool. I haven't tried since, even though I said I was going to do one daily because no one's holding me accountable, not that anyone could, so I'm really just trying to offset the blame here to anyone but myself. But I really should keep doing that now. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I mean, I'm probably ridiculously overgeared for it, but I've almost decided to pretty much, like, if I don't get a leg, I'm pretty much just going to roll for pet from Araxi.
Oh my goodness. That's a terrible approach, but good luck.
I want the pets, so I can be like, you know, Magebit has Barry 10 kills. You know, I just want to piss somebody off who has, you know, that it took like 600 kills. But the problem being is that would be expensive, but I think I'm only going to do 1 kill a day. So, you know.
Yeah, it won't be that bad then.
Yeah.
The main reason I feel like doing shifting tombs is because I'm like super duper close to having 80 in every skill. Like I'm 78 rune crafting and 79 thieving, almost 80 thieving.
Nice. I've
been putting it off.
I mean, you want to talk about putting things off, I'm right there with you. I've been putting off everything for the past like 2 months, so you probably have done more than I have, at least.
Yeah. Well, I need to, like, my problem with RuneScape is I've been super trying to make gold motivated, and I think I need to stop with that.
I kind of want to get into that boat, but it's really hard to do that as a skiller, as you know. I mean, I'm really trying to think, you know, which skills can I do. So, like, fire making is a quick buyable, so I get it out of the way, and I was gonna do Hunter, but I realized it was only like a 350 million profit for, you know, a couple months' work of intense training. So I think I'm gonna do rune crafting. Just do the double nats and, you know, It's a good like
I'm
5
really
million an hour.
confused as to. I'm stuck at this sarcophagus.
Oh no, I hate those things. Can be so annoying to try and decipher.
Yeah. I feel like this is definitely not going to work for a talking stream.
That was my someone also asked me, I think, to do some dungeoneering on the skill and chill, and I'm like, it is a skill technically, but the choicing is either a very quiet, mumbly stream or me running around aimlessly in dungeoneering. Like, I wouldn't be able to do both due to the complexity.
Yeah.
Or I could leech.
I think shifting tombs works well in big groups. Like when we had a group of 5 and we were doing shifting tombs, it was super easy to pay attention to everything. But now that it's one person and I have to do everything, I think that's where it becomes hard. Although I almost have everything done.
What's going on, Died to Bleed, over on the Twitch side? How you doing?
Hey, Fatty, how are you doing?
How's that, Fatty? Very good.
That's Fatty. No, I'm just insulting our listeners.
Hey,
What's up, Fatty?
I'm such a pothead. I just immediately think that, of a big blunt when someone says fatty. Dang it! It's also really good if anyone calls me fatty. It just, doesn't bother me. Oh man, I'm like looking at the RuneScape Reddit right now, just seeing if there's any topics, but our Reddit is not doing well at the moment. Didn't blow away in the hurricane. Good. Did you write your RuneScape name and password down on your arm for just in case?
I realized I totally forgot to check for my exit when I started this dungeon, so I have literally no idea where the exit is.
Oh god, that's the worst. Yeah, not noting where the exit is. What I do is just run in the complete opposite direction of whence I've been running and hope that that is the correct direction. Because indecision and panic will not end the dungeon for you, I've learned. That's been one of my problems, and
I'm gonna hope it wasn't by the beginning.
Escapists.
And it's nope, I found it. Cool, okay. I might get there in time if my character would actually start running.
This game seems to. So again, last game I was kind of playing the game in 4K. I'm playing it in 1080p on my left-hand monitor this time, and I think the frames are a lot better. So that's good. RuneScape not very happy with 4K.
Oh, I'm not
resolutions.
gonna make it in time. Come on, speed up. Go, go, go.
Thanks for the bank space. Upcoming update. Is that happening? Are we getting more bank space? Because I desperately need it.
Oh, I'm right here, but yeah. Strike out. I'm 5 seconds away from the end, and it's ending now.
Aw.
GG easy.
That's the worst. You still get you get the money, right? Or the primary XP, depending on what you have ticked. I forget how that works.
I don't think you get any XP.
If you
fail. You get the stuff that you gathered
from the
get the XP
from the Sarks.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But you don't get any of the ending bonus.
Gotcha.
All right. Now that I'm more awake, I can try this again and see if I do better. Okay, so the exit's right here by the beginning. So wait, there's actually a bank space update coming?
I think people are just being dicks.
Facetious.
Oh yeah. I'm trying. Reddit right now is literally just a fire. It's a tire fire. Trying to find anything that isn't sarcastic, angry, or a meme is really hard at the moment.
Reddit is either people complaining or people complaining about people complaining.
Basically. That's a really good way to describe it. Yeah, like, I'm trying to find a single poster that isn't about Jagex failing at releasing content or Jagex, people complaining that they want other content fixed. Like, that's all I'm seeing right now. Like, to be fair, we haven't had many major updates, but I'm really looking forward to the rune score system. How about that? There's a positive note. On Tuesday, the rune score system finally comes out after months of being delayed. And that was not a stab at all, just fact. I'm excited because, we've gotten bits and pieces of it, and all I ever wanted was to just the quantification system of having achievements so I can get an idea of, my actual character's value. I think skill total, though a good measure of how much XP you've earned in the game, that's kind of become easier over time, so I'm interested to see another way of quantifying skill, and I don't know. I like those types of things.
How long till Jagex sells a achievement completer on Treasure Hunter? Complete any achievement with this.
You know, I wouldn't. I know you're just screwing with me here, but you know, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we eventually saw like some boosters put on Solomon's. All I'm seeing again is people shitting on the fact that all the Jagex is releasing but microtransactions and whatnot. It's like, I don't agree with that. I mean, but at the same time, a lot of people seem to hold that opinion, and it might behoove them to maybe move some of the stuff out of constant game updates and move them more towards just an item shop where you kind of, it's just a la carte and you don't have to worry about completing content or yada yada yada. That also sounds lazy, so I don't know.
It really frustrates me that people are giving Jagex shit for all the MTX updates, because like a year ago we were complaining because MTX was overpowered and it was unearnable in game, and we've seen a huge shift in the past year or two to a place where most of the stuff that comes out from Treasure Hunter or from MTXs now is earnable in game, and I personally love that shift. And I'm not, you know, I find it frustrating that people attack them for that shift, and I think we're kind of attacking without thinking about like the other solution that Jagex could make it so that, like, I don't think that the amount of MTX promos has gone up. It's just the amount of ones that are interactable in game has. Like before, it used to be they would always be Treasure Hunter only, so like you had to buy a ton of keys. And I think this current system is way better than that. I agree
that the in-game system is a way more friendlier to people who don't want to spend massive amounts of money. But on the flip side, there's some like weird disconnect with society and these things where it's like, this is better for the game, but because they become more spotlighted, people think there's more of them, or it's worse, or it's getting worse or something. And that's the problem. That's what needs to be addressed, I think.
People think that because they're in-game content, it's taking time away from other content.
Well, and you know what? It's kind of fair of them to feel that way this year specifically. In the past, I would say yes. I think that that's an irrelevant claim to make, but this year specifically, due to the whole just failures that we've seen, I think it almost is slightly justified where people are like, all they do is release MTX, even though, but that team has a set schedule of things to do that are very kind of cardboard thin as far as their development goes. They only need to serve a purpose for, you know, X amount of days or weeks or whatever, and then it's gone from the game and yada yada yada. It's not meant to be a permanent piece of game content, and that's what that team is meant for. But people get them confused with the actual development team, and I'm not saying that the people who develop MTX are not capable of, you know, being on other teams. I'm just saying that's not the role of their team for the game. Go ahead.
Woo, I just got 80 thieving.
Congrats.
So now all I have left is rune crafting. I guess we could go hang out in the rune span if you wanted to.
Technically do want to train rune crafting, but not until I'm done with fire making. I got 11 levels left. I'm going to be done with fire making this month. Well, not this month, next month. Also want to try to do as much active rune crafting as possible.
I think something people lose perspective on, though, is like these MTX updates are not actual. Like they did not, as far as I can think, they did not release a new type of MTX update this year. Like the only thing that they have to remake for like the rep, or not rep, but yeah, basically rep gaining ones is they need new cosmetics. Basically, all they do is they make new graphics and new cosmetics and plug them into an event that they already have made. So it's not actually taking time. Like they're not developing new content this way.
It's true. They're just kind of
Senzo. Do I know who Senzo is? I don't remember if I know. I feel like that name is familiar.
Sounds like an expensive coffee maker.
And you just called me a cunt in chat and then sent a heart, so I feel like I should know who you are, but I can't remember who you are.
Maybe just somebody who loves cunts. I don't know. Hey, Chris, aka Hamp, how you doing, buddy?
But I also think, like we talked about this on the Discord earlier, I think there's a big issue. Like, I think I finally realized the real reason Jagex canceled expansions, and it's not because of how good or bad they did. It's because this community cannot wait for updates. Like, Jagex told us that we were going to have to wait 3 months between expansions for another big update, and people are losing their shit.
I know, and this is planned downtime. And I'm kind of losing my shit too, but for unrelated reasons, I guess. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think you even have the frustration, and like it's because we've been conditioned to expect updates. I probably have the frustration too. It's because we've been conditioned to expect RuneScape updates once a month at least, a big update, and not having that is a huge change.
A lot of my disappointment is coming from their inability to work with the skilling community too, and then I'm kind of projecting a lot of that anger on any other aspect of the team that I can, just because I think I have that innate, like, upset. Like, I don't know, there's something... There's a burning anger inside me that cannot be quenched, knowing that skills are going kind of by the wayside for so long. But it's not fair of me to use that anger to attack them over something that we already knew was the case. I guess immediately because they were like, we're not doing any other expansions, I immediately thought, well, then all bets are off. They should be immediately developing content again, but that's not how that works. So, yeah, it's unfair to expect. Because they did give us the first expansion. They just said no more after that. Which
means we still have to have the downtime.
Yeah, we still... Exactly, yeah. And that is very hard to grasp, I think, when you're angry already at them for other reasons, and also maybe you're also just not completely aware of their development process because you're not a extremely hardcore player. Like, that's also like 90% of their player base are not us. They're just casual players who don't even read the news or Reddit or anything.
And Senzo says confuse the streamer. Well, I think that you have accomplished that, so well done. And I mean, I totally agree with you that that most of the community doesn't follow stuff closely. Like, I honestly think there is in some ways a communication issue at Jagex. I'm Rubik recently started doing a post where they try to sum up everything that happened across everywhere, like, you know, on Twitter, on Facebook, where Jagex posts stuff. And I think there's a real issue where, like, a Jmod will post something on Twitter that should really be a news post on the main website, and I don't know, they don't delineate information clearly. There's not one place.
That's very true.
Like, if I want to find out what's going on in Overwatch, I go to the forums, and sure, sometimes there's YouTube videos posted, but those videos get posted on the forums, I believe, as well, by the people who curate that. Whereas, like, if I want to find out what's going on in RS,
you don't know where to go.
Places I have to check.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's why you just listen to RuneScape Weekly. But, you know, it's hard when we're not producing podcasts, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, that was my goal of that was my goal of having the podcast. Originally was a place to kind of congregate and discuss the current events of RuneScape. Never did I expect it to become like a live streaming entertainment platform. So, yeah, I just popped up a fan art of Xanac. I don't know if you've seen it from Reddit. It's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah, I like that.
One of the comments on there I had to downvote. Someone was like, "I'm glad that I killed her and that she's still dead," and I was like, "You are a monster."
How could anyone say that? Xanac is like one of the nicest characters in the game.
If you killed Xanac, don't listen to my content. I'm being facetious there. I'm joking. Yeah. But
point taken, though. Xanac's a wonderful creature. I love Xanac. In regards, I'm trying so hard to not talk mining and smithing, mainly because of our plans, and also just like it's the only thing scrolling through Reddit that I can freaking see. Like, I'm trying to find other stuff, but holy crap, people are just out of control with this.
Senzo in my chat saying, "Will you take Saren Bow donations?" Yes. It's ridiculous. I can't decide if you're trying to confuse the streamer again, though. But sure.
The key is, what items do you have to drop inside of Beastmaster's arena to get the bow?
I'm a sellout. Apparently, I'm a sellout for saying yes. You're right. I sold out.
I sold out years ago, if that's the case. Like like most of my noxious weaponry is donated. Let's see here. How about this isn't? I don't know. This post is called "Reasons Behind the Jagex Release Model." Could this in any way possibly be like in depth and possibly interesting? I don't know. They quote some like business websites and whatnot. This is weird. I think we might want. Maybe we could debunk this. Do you want me to go into this post here, or should I just keep scrolling?
Do it.
This one. All right. So this is by Zyteria. I guess that's the best you're getting out of me as far as your name goes. I apologize. But yeah. Let's see here. It says, "Welcome to yet another post about the way Jagex releases their content. This isn't a rant, but hopefully it will be informative. Also, I don't work for Jagex, but I work for a company that has the same work and release model. The term for Jagex's work and release model is known as Agile. This is where the company works to minimal marketable features to keep a consistent flow of changes and updates. Each update needs to be 1. Minimal, small as it can be without extra clutter or unnecessary bloat. Marketable, 2. Something that can be advertised and used to bring in customers. And 3. Feature, something that adds value to the company or product, in this case RuneScape. Examples of MMFs can be found in the patch notes. Each line is essentially an MMF. It is rare for the company to work on large projects similar to the way other game release bog patches or expansions. Instead, there will be tiny changes that will be made consistently. If there are big projects to be made internally, these are broken down into MMFs that are easier to handle and manage. While this may result in what seems to be unfinished content, what it really means is that the content is slowly updated and changed over a few weeks until it is complete, rather than taking those weeks and dropping the update at one time. The agile way of working is most noticeable in patch notes, where each of the changes are minimal, marketable features. Working this way makes it easier to adjust the direction of the game through constant feedback from players without wasting months of work. Instead, only a week or so could potentially be wasted, and the changes could be easily reverted. Hopefully this helps some understanding of the way Jagex works. I'm not a business person, I just work for a company that employs the same method of working." Thoughts?
I mean, I think it's interesting, but I also
I think like maybe they use a hybrid of this, but
yeah. I mean, I don't like something I think is weird about the community is is there like, I don't know, like we act like the last year to maybe arguably 2 years undoes, you know, all the work before that, but like Jagex is clearly in a rough place where it comes to RuneScape right now, but like it's not like it's always been that way, you know what I mean?
No, it definitely hasn't. I would honestly say the game was fine. I've even called it the golden age of RuneScape prior to this year. So, I mean, it's clearly just something went wrong this year, and they did not have a good time trying to do expansions. They went on a limb. It didn't go well, and now they're in kind of this little purgatory for the moment, but it doesn't mean that they're gonna just implode. If they continue causing PR nightmares for themselves, they might implode, but if they could just shut up, get their shit together, and release the content that they said they were going to release, you know, over the next year, then I don't see what the problem's going to be, really.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am too. Is yeah, I think.
I mean, we all know my major point of contention.
The company isn't too far gone for them to come back, and I think a lot of people act like this is RuneScape. I've seen posts online like, I never thought I'd be the person who would say this, but RuneScape is dying, and I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's just a rough patch. We've had rough, and also the other thing is we've had rougher patches. Like the EOC transition was way rougher than what we're currently in, and as was the removal of free trade. Like those are two times that
those
stand
are
out as
both times. that I actually like left the game too, which is funny. The AOC was not my fault. I was hacked, but when removal of free trade came into place, I was like, this sucks, and I stopped playing for a little while.
And Senzo says they went from 50 mil to 1.2 bill staking OP. I mean, it's OP until you lose big, then it's not.
Yeah.
But
I mean, unless you're doing skill-based staking, if that's even a thing anymore. I mean, I believe it was once a thing. I just don't know if you can find anyone who's willing to do it with you.
Yeah, not anymore.
Right?
It's
Shadow used to be amazing at it.
Staking is just a 50-50 thing now. Well, not always.
No,
you can actually get you can still get scammed. If you don't know what you're doing at staking, it's easy to get scammed. But if you know what you're doing at staking, it's just a 50-50 chance as to whether or not you get it. Still roughly 4 bill down. Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It sounds like this is David, but I feel like David would not call me a cunt, so I'm very confused.
Listen.
So I think David's down more money than that.
I was going to say, do you want to know how many friends that I have that are multi-billionaire stakers? Tons. It's very common in the PVM community.
Yeah, that's true. Do you do it? Yeah, I do bossing. Today's a chillin', skillin' stream, so no bossing today, but I do a lot of bossing.
If we all quit until they stopped being shit, there would be no RuneScape, because everyone has their own opinion of that. You know, it's like, there's certain parts of the game that are never going to be perfect, but I don't know. I don't think botching up the expansion system is anywhere near as bad as the way they handled the launch of EOC or the removal of free trade. This is a drop in the bucket compared to those things, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, I think the core issue.
I'll tell you what's not a drop in the bucket, but you don't want to hear it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was about to say the core issue with that I think we currently have is like it's obvious to a lot of people that skilling has been neglected in many ways. We've gotten to this point. We've gotten to this point where it's hard to fix.
It is.
And like,
you know what's funny? I'll let you finish first. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I just think it's funny to me in a way that yes, it is harder to fix, but the longer we wait, the harder it's gonna be to fix. Yeah. If we keep putting it off, and that seems to be what Jagex wants to do, and I can't get behind that personally, but I don't know.
I mean, and it's weird too because like when we talk about the neglect of skilling, it's a strange thing because the neglect of skilling isn't that skilling hasn't gone anywhere. It's just that skilling has gone to a XP focused thing.
Yeah.
Which motivates some people, but I think is not what the majority of the community wants. I mean, as far as do I want to do any rots or AOD? Not today, but I mean, if you I don't know if you have me added in game or if you're on the Runescape Weekly Discord, but if you are, we are actually trying to put together a ROTS team for sometime soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can do that. But anyways, yeah. So I completely lost my train of thought because I went off on that derail. So if you have somewhere to go there, and I'll try to catch up. You have to also take into consideration when dealing with the mining and smithing issue that it goes beyond the mining and smithing issue. This is a skilling problem in general. And the fact that seals are XP based and nothing more, they're an afterthought. It's how do we make these be more and more XP per hour as the longer this goes in, just so people can get them out of the way to get to their PVM experience. And I don't feel like that is maybe the way they should go about it. I don't know. I don't even know if I would label it as an afterthought. I think Jagex, whether it was on purpose or by accident, but they have moved skills to such a place where the primary focus of it is the XP gain, which is fine. But I don't think the XP gain motivates people very much past 99. And obviously, it does some people.
Yeah, there are anomalies
here. But I would say the majority of the community is not motivated to gain XP past 99. whereas most of the updates we get for skilling is only about how to gain XP faster, whereas what skilling needs is how to make money. And they've kind of lost focus on that, and it's been at the
there's certainly
at the increase of PVM, right? Like basically PVM has flourished while skilling has suffered, and PVM has flourished by dropping skilling components. Like it makes no sense to me that the best rate to gather skilling supplies is by killing a boss. Like there is something fundamentally broken there.
Yeah, that is really one of my major points of frustration is skillers have been devalued so far that it just seems as though there's almost no point to skilling because you can obtain all of the skill supplies almost necessary through combat. And the fact that they openly said, Moderamen openly said they have no chance, Timbo as well, I believe, also on a live stream, I think Timbo even said it, they have no plans to change that stuff. And I understand where they're coming from, first of all. Let me just say, as someone who is a skiller and is being hurt by this, they have built this strong economy around PVM. And to disrupt that basically speaks to say that we are going to take things away from our PVM community that we've been put on this pedestal for so long. But that's the problem, is just because something has been one way for a long period of time does not necessarily mean that it is the moral or correct thing to do. Now, this is a video game. I'm saying bringing morality specifically into this is probably silly, but point being is there's still a large portion of the community that does enjoy skilling and would like to make it their main way of being able to play the game.
There is this weird thing where, like, you hear people like, oh, we can't, like, we look at the mining and smithing update last year. There was like the main reason it did not happen in last August, I think is when it was supposed to come out, is because people were like, but that's gonna hurt PVM profits.
Yeah, well, coal was one of the big drops.
That's 100% true, but that PVM can suffer a little bit. Like, to be completely frank, like it's in such a well-maintained place that hurting it a little bit is not going to destroy it. Like, it might destroy the profitability of some bosses. Like, QBD might become shitty to do if the rework went through. God Wars Dungeon 2 profits would drop quite a bit. But for the overall health of skilling, is that really a bad thing? And also, like, you can spend the next year fixing that. Like, if they just decided to not rebalance drop tables, but instead just remove all rune drops and below from drop tables, like, it would hurt some things, but, like, Rax would still make almost the exact same amount of money it currently does if they did that. AOD still would. Telos would still be super profitable. Telos streaking would be less profitable, but Telos get rare drops, or where you generally make most of the money anyway. So
that's what I like about PVM, and that's the way I always thought PVM should be designed, is money loss over time with huge spikes in gold gain, randomly. But overall you're making a profit because of those long-term gains. I like that, and I guess that's not the way gamers like it anymore, and whatever. Real quick, I just want to give Italian Cars here a second to put their 2 cents in here regarding the old school RuneScape, saying they had this issue in old school RuneScape. The best way to get sharks was Zulrah. They fixed it by just nerfing Zulrah, which isn't exactly a fix. So it's not easy to just, implement these types of things, of course, right? But so that's a skilling issue where Zulrah... I thought Zulrah was... And forgive me, I'm not an old-school RuneScape player, so I don't know exactly the potential of Zulrah, but I thought that was mainly a skilling location and resource.
No, Zulrah is
it mostly combat?
The QBD. No, it's 100%. It's 100% combat. You're thinking of raids, which is something different.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on in old-school RuneScape, and I'm honestly kind of interested now.
Zulrah is basically like the Queen Black Dragon of old-school RuneScape in some ways. Back when the Queen Black Dragon was new. I mean, I think the problem with what your approach of having rare drops be the only money making is it makes the community smaller. Like, I think that's the issue where people, like, the PvM community was way smaller when, like, the main thing to do was kill the Cow Fight Queen and hope that you get a Dragon Chain Body. So like, and I think
there's
that
something
Jagex
about
has
that I like. Sorry.
I mean, I kind of I agree with you that it was fun, but I think that there are like, and I think there should potentially still be some things like that. But I think that having every boss be
Zia,
that
thank
way,
you, Cheris. Or yes, but yes, that's what I was thinking of. But you're right. Yeah, some things should be like that, but not. I guess spice of life, right? Not everything should be cookie cutter. I don't want that for skilling. Why would I want that for? Why should I wish that upon the PVM community? That's another thing. Is like.
But I think,
yes.
like in some ways, I think they do have that. Like I think AOD, the way I understand it, is you don't make money off of AOD unless you get a rare drop. So I think Jagex still does have some of that approach. But the problem is stuff like that. I think maybe stuff. It's really. I think it started with God Wars 1 is when all these skilling resources started pouring into the game, and then they just added more and more to increase the profitability, which I think was a mistake. I mean, I think too in Slayer. To me, Slayer was way more fun when stuff like Abyssal Demons made a lot of money, and you made money in Abyssal Demons by getting an Abyssal Whip, and now it's like you make money at Slayer by getting adamant ore drops or rune ore drops, and it's like, yeah, like there should be more rare items in Slayer. Like to me, they should remove skilling supplies from Slayer, add more rare items.
One of the things that I was actually really disappointed with in the mining and smithing area was people's desire for an untradeable high-level smithing item for combat. I wanted it to be tradable because I want resources to be constantly being depleted and sold and traded. Yes. I don't like the idea of forcing PVMers who are openly PVMers to now have to train another skill and keep producing items with it that they may not want to do.
Most high-level PVMers would agree with you. I mean, one of David's most hated things is having to make overloads.
That's not, and this is what I'm saying is like that's not fair for them. I don't wish any harm on the PVM community, but at the same time, they're harming the skilling community, and it's really hard to try and to take without literally taking. Like they've been taking so long without giving back, and I don't mean the players, I mean Jagex is in their development cycle for PVM versus skilling, that at this point it feels outrageous to ask for things back from combat, but is it really that outrageous?
Senzo's saying, overloads drop at racks, which is true, but you still have to, like, most no high-level PVMer uses the overloads to drop at racks. You have to first turn them back into 4-dose potions, and then turn those 4-dose potions into supreme overloads. So it's you don't actually use the overloads to drop at racks as they are, thanks to combination potions from Prif and shit like that.
If you're top tier, you don't. No, but for real, right? Like there's a level of
me, like I actually agree. Like something that like the reason I play RuneScape and like it over a game like WoW is like in World of Warcraft, the best stuff isn't tradable, and in RuneScape the best stuff is tradable. And they seem to slowly be moving away from that, and it's not a change that I agree with. Like, I don't, like, it's like, yes, someone who wants PVM should not be forced to train Herblore and should not be forced to train smithing. Like, you should have to get your PVM stats up and then go.
Yeah, and then go have fun.
You shouldn't have to, especially because like smithing and Herblore are two of the most expensive skills in the game. So forcing people who want to
see, that's obviously why they're coupled with PVM, was just how you make all the money for them. Obviously, I'm being facetious here, but that's, it almost looks like it's designed that way, but I don't think it was by design that it ended up this way. I think it was just a lack of foresight.
This is another frustration when it comes to the profits of skilling, right? Like, skillers could make a huge profit making overloads. Like, if overloads were tradable, that would be a profitable way for skillers to make money. Guaranteed. But because they're not, that's a potential money making avenue that's now gone for skillers, and it'll be the same thing with smithing, where okay, so maybe making this armor for smithing will make money, but if they make the tier 92 armor tank armor, then no one's gonna fucking use it. And even if it's power armor, the armor that you wear does such little increase to your DPS that I don't think it's gonna be a big effect. Like it's not gonna be like if a tier 92 halberd came out, or you look at the staff of Soliscate, it's super expensive. So like they're taking what could be a foundational way for skillers to make money in a skill, and they're making it something that instead you have to do on your own, which I think is a mistake.
Yeah, that's a big mistake. Especially with those people have so much money. Like, they want to spend their money. They don't want to train skills.
Yeah, they don't want to spend their time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like in RuneScape, it comes down to two things.
Time
you
is
either
money.
put your time in or you put your money in. And
Yeah.
some people want to put in the money, some people want to put in the time. So let the people who want to put in the money actually freaking do that, and let people who want to put in the time make a profit off of their time.
Thank you, because time is supposed to be money. And yes, Magister is proved that people don't like a loss of money until big drop. I know people don't like that whole payoff anymore, and I'm from a different generation of gamer, I think. But
if Magister didn't have keys, it would be different. Like if Magister was a really hard fight where like I was saying earlier, next AOD is a perfect example where that fight you suck up so many supplies, you do not make money on that fight base. You only make money on rare drops. But the thing is, you're not spending like at.
Can I leave you to monologue for 1 second? I have to use the restroom.
Sure.
Cool.
At Magister, you have to put like 300, 500 mil into keys before you even get a drop. It's not just that you're paying for base supplies; it's that you're literally paying for keys. And I think that really what hurts Magister is the key system. And I don't think it's well designed. I don't think it was smart to bring it. But like you can look at how popular the Ascension dungeon is, and you could have seen that keys were going to be a mistake, but for some reason they still did it because Jagex. But yeah, I don't know if I'm making much sense, but hopefully I am. Oh look, Fatty just got a dormant anima core body, freaking rich, rolling in that gold. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, Magister does fuck Iron Man over as well. That's a good point. I think, although I don't think there's necessarily design content for Iron Man. Yeah, I mean, it's a valid complaint to make, though, nonetheless.
Sorry about that. Where are we at? What are we talking about?
We were talking about Magister and how I think keys are the biggest problem with Magister, not the fact that you have to wait for a rare drop, because with AOD you have to wait for a rare drop, but with Magister it's all about keys, which is, I think, what hurts it.
Yeah, the key system is a weird system. It's not one that I've literally never fought a Legioness because I have no interest in the key system. I have no interest in... And I know I'm going to need to. I've never bothered because I don't like the idea of spending money on keys.
With AOD Mage, yeah, you don't make money, at least from my understanding, off the base drops. You make money off the rare drops, but you're also with Magister, you have to literally put like 300 to 400 to maybe even 500 mil in to Magister before you get that rare drop, and then when you get the rare drop, then you make like 600-700 mil. So you basically have to invest more than you're going to make. And I think that's what really hurts it. It's not that you have to lose money, it's how much money you have to lose at Magister that really hurts it.
Yeah, okay. That's valid. Can I read you the most self-righteous post? It is related to the recent, issues, but this is the most self-righteous thing I've ever heard in my life, and I honestly feel like this should be out of like a freaking movie. I love it.
Well, before you do, and one other thing, Chairs is saying, I think the drop system is what hurts Magister the most. That is true as well, because the other thing they did at Magister is you don't get a rare drop, you just get like particle. I forget exactly what they're called, so I'm just going to call them particles. You get particles that you then end up assembling into the drop,
like shards, kind of.
Yeah, you're getting shards. You don't actually ever get. One of the best things about going to something like Raxi is getting that light base drop, and then freaking out about that, where you don't get that reward at Magister.
Okay. The likelihood I'm ever gonna even do Magister, it's so low. At least this year, I don't know. I want to get into like good combat though. That doesn't sound very good. Yeah, I don't know. My brain is spinning from all the chaos. So this post here, right? Mm-hmm. It says here, from what most of us can gather about the upcoming haul, it looks like Jagex wants to screw all over again with half-completed content. Someone who posted on old OSRS forum, basically, you know, the whole post that was like basically rallying old school RuneScape players to vote no, which I think is, you know, voter fraud, but okay, I'll take it. They say, even after all these years, Jagex just won't learn. But don't worry, we haven't forgotten your votes that got us 2007 Scape. It's time to pay our debts, and that we shall. Like, we've got these, like self-righteous kamikaze, like, old schoolers that are, like, acting like they're sacrificing something. Like, I don't know, it just sounds like some battle scene where, like, this forgotten group of warriors shows up like, we're not gonna let you fail. We remember what you did for our tribe. I don't know. It's kind of, it's cute in a way, but it's also like so hyperbolic.
Sure. Yeah. It is a bit. It's interesting to see the old school community's reaction. I mean, also I think there's a lot of people who are acting like Jagex setting the 50% threshold for this poll is because they want it to pass, which I don't agree with. Like, I actually completely agree with them that this poll being 75% doesn't make sense, because we are not voting yes I want an update versus no I want an update. We are voting as to whether or not we want this type of update. To me, honestly, what this poll should be is it should be a I want a full skilling rework now, and then the other option should be I want just the high-end rework now and the full skilling rework later. Which is
there should be no option where they get to not do the rest.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's my biggest worry is they say they'll do the rest later, but I don't trust them to actually ever do it.
I have a good graphic for that, I think, actually.
It's gonna be so much work at a later date. I don't think they'll ever go back to it. I mean, maybe they'll go back to it in 5 years, and yeah. I mean, like, to me, skilling needs a plan for the future. Like, we don't just want to fix today. Like, I want an actual plan that is executed on from now on as to how they're going to keep skilling profitable and add to that every year.
They don't seem to want to give you that, though.
It's really weird because, I mean, last year we had Timba literally saying, you know, 2017 is going to be the year of the skiller. I'm going to rebalance drop tables and stuff like that. And none of that has happened this year.
No, nothing.
Like, I think that's where part of the frustration comes from, too.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's where my frustration comes from. That's where all my excitement for the year came from. Was like, yes, finally, after, you know, it's been a few years where skillers have been, like, really, really hurting. And, you know, just throw us a bone so we can bring our, you know, our money-making abilities up a little bit. And then he's like, yeah, no, we shelved that. Why? For what reason?
I don't remember them saying that they shelved that. But they obviously have.
They did.
Done it.
I mean, he did. He said, "I'm not working on it." He said when asked on the last Q&A, they said, "How is making seeds more profitable going?" And he says, you know, he's fine. It's going fine as long as all making skilling items more profitable in general is all just kind of on hold for now, though. And I mean, that's paraphrasing, and I guess I'll go back.
I think you're taking that a little bit more extreme than what I read into that.
Do you have a skilling boss yet in RuneScape 3? What do you think this is, old school RuneScape? Well, we can't even rework skills. How can we make a skilling? Jagex, and I can't say Jagex as a whole company, but certain people at Jagex have already been like, we've tried, we can't. And that's the exact same thing they're saying with mining and smithing, though. It's like we can't. It's too big. It's too hard. It's too complex. It's the same thing that they're basically saying for skilling boss. That, or they'll be like, old school RuneScape got one, so we can't do it too soon.
It feels to me that part of the problem is potentially that we don't have Jmods that care about skill. Like, we obviously have a ton of Jmods who are super into PVM.
Yeah, that's very, very
Shawnee, Ramen. I can't even think of all the Jmods that are obviously super into PVM. I don't know a single Jmod.
Does anyone else?
Well, actually, I know some Jmods. I don't know a single developer Jmod who is into skilling.
Does anyone else feel like ModJack is, like, honestly annoyed by the fact that he has to work on this content? Like, because that's not going to produce good content.
I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, supposedly a Jmod tweeted the other day that they would rather work on PVM content. I've been unable to find that tweet,
Yeah,
but it was talked about in a Maskets video. I would love it if I could actually find that tweet and where it exists, because I think that's like a
I just want to know who said it, because I would
thing to say.
I would believe a Masket for that was said. If I just need, like, that's where I'm at right now as far as my evidence level needs, because they keep saying stupid crap like that.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, if that statement is true, I think that shows the problem that we have Jmods. Like, I'm sorry, but what Jmods like more should not dictate what gets put into the game.
Magebit
like,
for design director.
Like, if you want to work on a game that is primarily PVM focused, go fucking work on World of Warcraft. Like, don't be in RuneScape. Like, I don't want to see RuneScape become a PVM focused game.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what RuneScape was ever. And I mean, PVM has always been a part of RuneScape, but it never was this is the end-all, be-all, you know?
Yeah, it was one small part compared to a bunch of other parts that were equally as, like, small but equally shared, and that made up the whole big game of RuneScape. I
don't even, like, I could care less if PVM is, as long as it's the same size, like, just give the same amount of love. Why like said, can't we do that?
Yeah, it's also, profitable too. Like, we're not talking about just skilling for XP's sake. Like, obviously last year we got the Arc, and I think it was a waste of fucking development time because it was literally only about XP. It was a mini game about gaining XP.
I said it. I'm like, if it's a closed economy, it's gonna be garbage, and it's beautiful to look at, and it's great for XP. But skillers are not rejoicing over the Arc because they can't maintain it. Like,
I mean, I think the Arc has already probably lost a ton of popularity. Like, I don't know, like, who talks about, like, you hear people talk about, like, you think about, like, all the big PVM updates of the last few years. Like, people still talking about God Wars 2 a lot. We still talk about Telos. We still talk about Araxi, like, all that shit, Virago. But, like, who thinks about the Arc anymore? And it's because it's a mini game. It's an XP grind. Like, the motivation post 99 in RuneScape is gold. But they have removed that from skilling in most ways.
That's unfortunate. I mean,
and of course you can always find, like, these little niche things. Like, you can make unfinished potions in Herblore, but, like, that's not engaging. Like, like, sure, you can make 5-10 mil an hour making unfinished potions in Herblore, but that's more grindy than going to fight Rax or going to fight any boss. Like, it's so click intensive and so grindy.
The game has always had skills that were undesirable to train, and I appreciated that to some degree, but now it just seems like all skills are undesirable to train unless the only thing you like to do is watch YouTube or Twitch.
I mean, back in the day, RuneScape wasn't a game where most people thought they were going to max, so therefore it didn't matter. Like, if you didn't like a skill, then you just didn't train it, and that was totally fine. You didn't have to try to get 99 in that skill, whereas now they seem to want to add more and more untradeable benefits at the end of every skill to force every player to get there, which is, like, it's not, to me, it's core. It goes core against the values of this game.
Well, I mean, and this is, you have to also understand, they completely changed XP rates to support that back maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's hard to say. July did a good job of documenting kind of how it happened in the RS history book. Like, you can really kind of see the change, and I think it happened sometime mid RuneScape 2 when XP rates basically were completely shifted to support people getting to 99 and getting their skill capes and stuff like that, so they could, I guess, produce more content beyond 99. I don't know what the plan was back then, but all it did was devalue skills to, absolute shit. Now they're just things that you train to get to 99, and the XP rates are just there to support you along the way.
Which, I mean, to me, like, that shift is totally fine, but to make skills easier to get, but that shift should not come with a requirement of skills to 99, right? Like, I miss back in the day when like woodcutting was my favorite skill, and like, just no point in woodcutting for like money anymore. There's no point. Like, you literally just woodcut to gain XP, and it breaks my heart. Like, that skill is so boring now.
I know, crystal trees. I made nothing off of that except for the crystal Triskelions. I have eaten nothing today. I'm like fading. I'm sorry. Like, can't even talk anymore. But yeah, like that's back in like the day when I saved up all those crystal Triskelions from 120 woodcutting. That was the only reward I got. That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
A lot of time spent getting 120 woodcutting.
If I could make, if it was possible to make 3 to 5 million an hour woodcutting, I would probably be close to 120 woodcutting by now. Like that's how much I love that skill. But they've taken away the reward from it, and therefore it takes away my enjoyment of it. Like I can't find the same love in that skill that I used to.
I can understand that, and I mean a lot of the skills have had that kind of joy removed from them for me. It hasn't stopped me, but it has definitely taken away that that feeling you get when you do hit the milestone that you want is gone.
I mean, I think a big problem is they forgot to actively update skills. Like eventually they moved, so like, you know, what do we even woodcut for anymore? Like, you used to woodcut to fire make. You used to have to use fires to cook, and it used to be like the most efficient way to do cooking, you know, was to, you know, take some wood with you to wherever you were cooking, light a fire there, and then cook. But now, like, basically you fish and then you drop your fish.
RuneScape was a survival game is what I'm hearing at one point in time.
I mean, in some ways.
It felt like that, you know? It felt really open worldy, and like, yeah, I gotta cut this tree down to make a fire to cook these fish so I can go, you know, do a quest or fight some monsters to get my levels up so I can do a quest, or, you know, like, that's what RuneScape has always been in my mind since RuneScape Classic. It was always getting my levels up so I could be ready for the next quest. And you were never meant to be super, like, high level, because you'd always be trying to get those level requirements so you could do the next quest to get the reward from the quest, or the lore from the quest, or the new training area out of the quest. And that seemed to violently shift around, like, the World of Warcraft days, where they realized quests, you know, people cared less about the quest and more about the combat, it seems.
Well, I think obviously, like, some of that is going to change, but, like, and I don't mean like the PVM focus, but I mean more like 99s are gonna have to get easier over time. But they instead of realizing that they were making every skill useless, because, like, you know, like I said, why would you woodcut anymore? Any gathering skill, the main method of gathering skills is either you use Saren spells so you don't get resources, or you just drop those resources, which to me is extremely unhealthy. Like, those resources should be worth keeping, and they're just not.
If you're mass dropping resources, that definitely is indicative of a problem with the economy, like the system, the way it's set up.
Or even like fletching. Like, literally, the only reason you fletch magic bows is to high alch them. Like, we don't use those things for anything anymore. Invention fixed some of this, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Why Invention was a good thing in many ways. It actually gave us a use for some of that stuff. But that needs to be continued, and it needs to be continued in a way where skilling helps skilling. Gathering skills should help production skills in a meaningful way again. And, like, I mean, I don't know how you accomplish that, because it's kind of hard, because, you know, they've moved all, like, you know, fletching used to be the best way to make a bow, and now they've moved that to a drop from Telos. And I don't know how you fix that, but I'm also not a game designer, so I don't have to be the one who knows how to fix that.
Yeah, I guess I would love to have access to their data, because I would like to fix it, but we would need unrestricted access to all the statistics of how people are actually playing the game. That's what I don't know. Another thing I don't understand, and maybe it's because I've never had access to that level of, like, unfettered information before, but, like, how can they be so blind when they have such in-depth information as to how people play the game in the first place? That's what I don't understand. Why aren't they running an analysis and, like, using playstyle? I would not, like, if there was an opt-in system to be like, please, literally track everything I do in-game and learn how I play to better make updates in the future. I don't even think that should be an opt-in system. I mean, I think that they should be tracking that information regardless, and I think that they can. I mean, it's been shown, like, them basically tracking, like, the Wilderness when they did the revival, right? And you got to see the entire flow of people on the Wilderness throughout that day. Like, they have the technology and the money. Like, why are they not taking more advantage of those types of things, instead just leaving it up to polls, which are wildly inaccurate because you're only going to get a certain subset of the player base. You could literally just spy on everyone.
To me, what RuneScape needs is it needs a ground up. It needs to be like from the ground up rethought. Like, to me, the best system would have been to 10, 12 years ago when they started moving away from skilling being the best way to make best in slot things in the game, would have been to make it so that you get half of what you need from skilling and you get the other half of what you need from PVM. Like, to me, like, I think if I was in charge of RuneScape, what I would probably do is I would retroactively, I would go back to bosses like Nex or Rax or back even further, and I would make that stuff so that, like, instead of Nex dropping a I forget what bow Nex drops, but instead of Nex dropping that, instead of Nex dropping the entire Zerite bow, Nex would drop like a Zerite component of some kind that would then be combined with this thing that requires level 99 fletching to make, and that would give you the Zerite bow.
I wouldn't be against that, but
instead of having it 100%, and the thing,
I mean, you mean basically making PVMers and skillers have to kind of cooperate to some degree.
Yeah, and the fletching component would take hours to make. It would be like that smithing document we have where you have to, like, you know, fold it over. It wouldn't be like now where you just cut one log and have a magic shield bow unstrung. It would be like spend 10 hours trying to make this component, and then that component's worth a few hundred mil, and then you combine it with this component from PVM that's also worth a few hundred mil, and you create a 600 million GP item.
Value added. Yeah. I agree 100% with that. Like, you're not going to find any dissenting opinion here. I badly want something like that.
I think the problem is it's super hard to correct now, and it would be painful to correct.
It would be.
If you don't do that correction, then this game is going to get more and more like World of Warcraft, and if you compare RuneScape to World of Warcraft,
WoW wins.
World of Warcraft is going to win every fucking time.
Yeah.
And it will eventually get to the point where your skilling community will leave, a lot of it, and your PVMers will probably leave too, because they'll realize there's a game that doesn't have a tick system, and not even that, a game that's not developed by indie developers that who cannot make stuff as polished as what Blizzard can.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is a real possibility. It's going to take a lot to get me to leave RuneScape forever.
Yeah.
But if they continue down this path over the next, like, 5 years, then, yeah, I'm sorry. It's not. I'm going to, you know, it's one of the things that I'm actually trying to change about myself is how skilling-centric I am. Like, I'm trying to make an effort to enjoy RuneScape PVM more, but that's, like, an effort to, like, make a change in a relationship because you love somebody, not because, like, I don't really enjoy that stuff, and I'm trying to make myself enjoy it because I want to play the game. I don't know, like, does that sound kind of sad and pathetic? Because it does come out into my mouth right now to me. Like,
I don't think so. I mean,
it's like, I don't know. I'm almost in it. I'm trying to look at it from the big picture point of view. You know, that's where I'm at. Is if I look at it from the short term, then yeah, everything looks like a nightmare and it's falling apart. But you know,
and maybe, I mean, and also, like, I'm not even trying to say RuneScape is this will kill RuneScape, because I think RuneScape could thrive just fine by being a PVM primarily or PVM only game. It just won't be the game I will be playing.
Exactly. No, RuneScape's not going anywhere. It's just you know, their current player base will be, and that's sad to think about.
If 5 years from now, it's funny because when I first came back, I couldn't see what was going to make me leave RuneScape, but now I kind of can. If 5 years from now, PVM has become even more of the focus of what you do in this game, and that is the only the primary reward loop is still only PVM. Like, I won't be kept in this game. Like, I enjoyed World of Warcraft for probably 5-6 years, and I eventually got bored because it was PVM. The same thing will happen with RuneScape. The same thing will happen with me in Overwatch. It's like I'll play Overwatch for 5-6 years, then eventually I will get bored of the RuneScape or Overwatch is PvP, but
sure.
Still,
I do
like,
want.
I'll get fighting. I'll get bored fighting things.
I want to address Green Elf's comment here, who says, "Sounds like you're addicted. To be honest, if you're not having fun, why play?" And that's very valid. But I haven't. I quit for a couple of months. This is the first. This is the first couple of weeks I've been back, and I'm not thrilled about it. Like, I'm not happy still. But I took most of the summer off because I'm extremely disappointed, and it's the fall coming around the corner, and I've got RuneFest coming around the corner, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt due to them having like a 15-year track record of me being relatively happy. But as a content creator and a podcaster, I am gonna speak my mind. Go ahead.
Also, like, I don't think addiction is the right word. Like, I think it's loyalty to the game.
Definitely, because I'm just going to spend my time somewhere else if it's not RuneScape.
People who are currently not having fun and are complaining, like, they aren't complaining because they hate this game. They're complaining because they love this game, and they don't want to see it go in a place where the things they love about it is gone. Yeah,
it would be like if somebody took your favorite television show and was just like, they completely changed it. Like, it was a drama, and then the next day, like, no, actually, this is a comedy now. Like, you were in love with it, and you've been watching it for 10 years or something. Like, you'd probably be pretty pissed off. It's the same way.
But you'd also probably keep watching it.
Yeah.
You love those characters.
Yeah, and you're kind of hoping that, maybe you can get used to it. Or maybe it will change back. You never know. Like, those are both real scenarios that I'm hoping for. Either I'll get used to the current game, or they will see the light and value also, my type of player.
Like, me, speaking from a personal level, like, the things I complain most about are generally the things I love the most. Like, that's just how I am hypercritical of the things that I most enjoy. Whether it's like Apple, I will be extremely critical of them, but I also love them as a company, and I love the products they make. And now I'm going to start a flame war on YouTube about Apple. But it's the same thing with RuneScape, where like I'm critical of this game because of how much I care about it. If I didn't care about RuneScape, like, I talk about World of Warcraft every once in a while. It's because I don't care about that game, like, at all. Like, I just don't. Whereas, like, a game that I really have a love of, like Overwatch or RuneScape, you will see me complain about it all the time. And that's because I am putting so much of my life into it, and I want to see it stay something that I enjoy.
Like, take H1Z1's Now Just Survive, right? Like, I reinstalled that game. I've spent like 300 hours in that game. That's a decent amount of time for a stupid game. But, and it is a pretty stupid game. But, like, I reinstalled it recently to give it a try because they changed a bunch of stuff, and I was like, nah, this game still sucks, and immediately uninstalled it. And I'm only talking about it right now because I'm just using it as an example, but did I take to their forums and try to make it a better place, try to give my feedback? And, no, because I don't care enough. RuneScape, I care greatly about, so I am going to vehemently voice my opinion, even if my opinion is not appreciated. And eventually, maybe I have to take my opinion elsewhere. I don't know, but I don't want to. I'd rather try to fix it.
Exactly. I mean, the other thing is too, like, I don't know where else I would, like, there's no other game that does skilling like RuneScape. The only game
Online is apparently trying to replicate RuneScape skilling. So if you're looking to check out a game that is trying to bring back RuneScape skilling, apparently Albion Online is good, but you have to, like, top-down, like, MOBA-style games as well, apparently, because that's what their PvP combat is apparently like, and that's, I think the game's heavily PvP-centric. I could be wrong about that. I refuse to pay the $30 to try it. Anyway, that's the only other game I've ever heard compared to RuneScape, besides Eve, which I think is actually way more complicated than RuneScape.
Yeah.
So not only that's a very good comparison, but
And I think even like I don't know, it's even hard for me, and maybe this is nostalgia or it's just time invested. Where like hopping to a new MMO, it just doesn't feel
right. Sunken cost fallacy to the extreme. I'm approaching 600 days in game. That's over like 15,000 hours of my life. So yeah, I that's another thing for real is like I put all this work into this one, game over the course of literally more than half my life. Switching to another game is very difficult. It's almost like selling the house you grew up in after, and then was passed on to you, and then due to financial issues you had to give it up or something. Like, you didn't want to give it up, you just had to. It's almost like a sentimental loss.
The only game that I've ever played that feels somewhat like RuneScape, because it is Minecraft, to be honest. Like, and even Minecraft, I've mostly played that game solo or in small groups, so it's not a lot like RuneScape. But like Minecraft is a lot about skilling, where it's like it's a primary focus of that game. You can do combat in Minecraft, but it's very secondary. Minecraft's kind of the opposite of where RuneScape is now, where combat is kind of and skilling is what you do in that game.
Minecraft also seems to have wholeheartedly adopted like storytelling, which I think is awesome. Like, I would love to see Jagex embrace the fact that like they have a role-playing community, they have a creative community that wants to maybe kind of be creative and do stuff like that. Like, they could do so many interesting things with RuneScape's game engine that I don't think that they just have the time to do. Just there's so many other things to do that there's definitely a market for stuff like that I think Minecraft does a really good job of filling, and at the same time I'd love to see RuneScape too, but I would never go to another game for it. Good.
Do you think maybe part of what this is, and I just thought of this, but maybe part of what's going on here and why they don't want to do these sweeping changes is not because they don't have ideas, but because they're scared?
Yeah, definitely.
Because like, if you look at EOC, like, you can argue that EOC was good or bad for the game, whatever. And you can do the same thing with the removal of free trade, but there is no doubt that it had a dent in the game. Like it hurt the game.
Definitely, there were a lot of people that left because of EOC.
Yeah.
And anytime you make a large change to the game, there's always going to be a possibility that people get angry and don't want to play anymore. But I feel like this is one of those scenarios where they have a better chance at doing more good than harm, because the system that we have right now is so broken that it doesn't really benefit anyone. Like, skillers aren't happy and PVMers aren't happy, really, because they still have to, make overloads and stuff like that. Like, this is an opportunity to go down that road and take one of the lesser impact skills, mining and smithing, that don't really have too much impact on the game right now, considering everything is basically gotten via PVM, including supplies to train those skills. So, you can't train mining with PVM, let's be fair there, okay, Magebit, but, smithing can mainly be trained via PVM, either indirectly or directly, depending on what monsters you're fighting. Point being, this is a chance to change that, prove that it works,
with the,
and then move, do
what's the
other
thing
ones.
called from Treasure Hunter? You can actually, you can actually,
what?
No, the thing that breaks down smithing things,
Spring
breaks
cleaner?
down. Yeah, spring cleaner. That's another thing that kind of like, lets you train even more effectively smithing via PVM, because even if you get a plate body drop, you can just have your spring cleaner turn it into a freaking raw resources.
And there's nothing wrong with stuff like that, right? But on the flip side, you should not be doing that all the time. Like, those types of items can be great for, like, Treasure Hunter to, like, oh, look, now you can disassemble these things automatically, but adding them so prevalently to the game when the system is so broken just proves that they kind of want to lean in the direction where, like, let's make this as painless for PVMers as possible.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I would have no problem if there were a couple bosses where it was a super good way to get skilling resources. I just don't think that should be the primary thing bosses do, and
Yeah.
that every boss does. Like, if it was just some bosses, this wouldn't be an issue. It's the fact that it's pretty much every boss, and it just continues as time goes on.
There's a post here that's... Yeah, go ahead.
It's hard to tell, like, we've talked about Jmods, and like my thought is kind of becoming that, like, the reason we aren't seeing these changes is because there's Jmods within RuneScape cough mod ramen who...
He's been on my shit list since the beginning of this year.
Who probably fight against the idea of rebalancing PVM to be nicer towards skillers. Like, that would be my guess, is that there are people who don't agree within RuneScape.
You think that there are anti-skilling lobbyists inside the system is what I'm hearing right now.
You're
Am I sensationalizing it?
Theory. Yeah, you're very much sensationalizing.
I'm really good at that. I'm sorry.
But I mean,
yeah.
On a broad level, that is what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
I think that goes a little bit more extreme than what I mean. Where I think like there are two sides to this debate, for sure. And I worry that the reason that skillers are losing this debate is because there are some high-profile people within Jagex who don't agree with us.
Yeah, and they have say. They have final say, maybe seniority. Because they do good PVM work. Let's not sell them short, right? Like, they're really good at what they do, but that doesn't mean that they should get to, you don't... This is the same reason why you have to be careful to not put a hammer in charge, because then everything it sees is nails, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think, and I think there's also a thing where, like, I think skillers on a general level are less engaged. They're less likely to be the type of people who are loud in the community. So
Sure.
I think part of the issue is, like,
Because we're all AFK.
there's a PVM echo chamber in some ways where, like, and I wonder if that's part of what caused us to get to where we are, is that, like, I always think the most vocal part of the community is going to be the community, the people who kill stuff. There seems to be something in people who kill stuff where they want to be vocal, whether it's PvP or PVM. As far as I can track, that's how it goes. Whereas, like, skillers are okay with being patient, and I also, being quiet and whatnot. And I also kind of wonder if part of that is that the skilling audience might also skew older. Like, I think the RuneScape versus old school audience is RuneScape. I think guaranteed has many more older players. People that are 40 and 50 plus, maybe even 60 plus. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if people over 40 is like 30+% of the community, to be honest. And those people are just less likely to be engaged on the internet yelling about updates. And also are less likely to actually care about profits. Like, they might just be playing, like, Magebit and I really care about making gold, but I think those type of players are like, have never really cared about that gold reward system, so therefore don't complain about it.
There are, we talk about bank standing, and people joke about bank standing, but it's a real thing. There are plenty of people who log in just to chat in clan chat or friend chat, or just hang out. It's very common. So much so that they kind of joked about it in the Gower quest. It's a real thing. So you're right, totally. How about a post called "I am happy with RuneScape"? Should we entertain that?
Let's do it.
All right. So this comes from Reddit, and it is by Alan Wayside, and they say here, I played RuneScape for several years, almost a decade ago, stopping right around the time that college started for me. Summoning had just been released. The game came and went in spurts for me. For a few months, a friend and I tried that new dungeoneering thing. A college friend group did some free-to-play hijinks, but that was about it. 2 months ago, for kicks and giggles, a friend and I reminisced about the game that we used to play back in the day. It almost started as a joke, but we made new characters and explored a twist on classic games that helped shape us into the people we became. And we loved it.
This literally sounds like a post I would have written, because, like, this is literally how I returned to the game. Anyways,
I think it's a pretty common scenario. Right now, this game has been fantastic. With membership, dungeoneering has been my new favorite skill. Okay, discredited. This person doesn't. Their opinion doesn't matter anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Summoning has been fun. This whole evolution of combat thing is fresh and a little foreign to me. Yet it has left a great. I almost read green taste in my mouth. A great taste in my mouth thus far. The skills may be easier than they used to be, but it feels like there are reasons to go higher than ever before. Yes, like many of you, I see some problems, some things that need to be changed, fixed, implemented, or even overhauled, but the game is still awesome. I'm meeting new friends, using the game to learn French, trying new things, having an escape from the real world while also finding productive strategies to try here on Earth when I close my browser window and practice my real-life skills. I love Jagex, I love RuneScape, and I'm excited for the future. Keep it up, guys. A lot of us still have your back. See, when they say a lot of us still have your back, though, like that's a mistake of, like, anger for passion, I think. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a bit too far. Like, I also think, like, returning players, newly returning players, as someone who just went through that, are much more likely to like the game because, first of all, there's content that you haven't played yet that you're discovering. If you're a player who has been here for years, you're mostly relying on new updates to define you, or if you're at the end game of RuneScape, you're worried about things like trying to make a lot of money to buy a party hat or to buy whatever items you might want that cost a lot of gold. Whereas if you're a newly returning player, stuff like that isn't your focus. Like you can't see the forest through the trees, I guess. It's kind of a good way to put it, where like you don't see the issues because you have so much stuff that you missed while you were gone.
Yeah, it's still a happy return party for you at this point.
But I think once you start getting towards the end game, whether it's maxing or whatever, is when you start to see the issues that are going on, where gold making is primarily focused on BVM and things like that. And so I think I saw a lot of posts like this who like, I've recently returned to RuneScape and the negativity of this subreddit makes no sense to me. And it's like, yeah, because you're not a veteran. Like, you're not in a place where you need new content or want ways to make money while skilling, because like you're not you still think 10 mil is a lot of money versus someone like me, like 10 mil is chump change. You know, it's a very different set of people.
Definitely. My computer's having a fucking meltdown right now.
I can't tell if I'm making any sense today because I feel like I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's subjective, but I feel like you're making a lot of sense. As a skiller, you make a lot of sense to me. But, you know, people, I've literally, you know, been called insane for my opinions on skilling and whatnot, and that I have it completely wrong. So I don't know. I mean, but I also hear that, you know, I also hear my opinion echoed a lot. So I think it really is a subjective opinion. But I feel like you've struck a lot of nerves for me. Like, you know, you hit a lot of the chords that I would probably be touching upon. Albeit you've been a lot more tame than I get, which I think is probably a good thing. Because I think people think I come off a little conspiratorial and maybe a little over passionate at times. And I definitely won't disagree with those statements, but I don't know. I don't think there's a problem with being passionate about a game that you've heavily invested your time and effort into building and shaping, you know, a community for yourself and whatnot. Like, even if it's like, it doesn't even have to be like what like any streamer or content creator has. It can just be a friend chat or a clan chat or a close knit group of friends that, you know, you really come together with when you play together. Those are the things that I value RuneScape for, and I don't want to see those connections deteriorate because I value them. And when my way of playing the game is in danger, I'm gonna speak up about it. I'm also going to try my hardest to adapt, as I always have done over the past 16 years, right? Like, this game is a living creature, and it can be slightly hypocritical for someone like myself to constantly be ragging on people who refuse to adopt the newest, latest, and greatest, of RuneScape 3, but then at the same time am like saying why are skills not the same? Why are they slowly being, devalued in place of other content? So it's a two-way street, right? Because there's plenty of people that don't want to see this content make it into the game, and all they care about is the action RPG side of RuneScape and not the, actual... I don't know what you'd consider the flip side of action RPG, but the other A for action RPGs, actual RPG style side of RuneScape. I don't know, but the questing side of RuneScape, the skilling side of RuneScape, the human side of RuneScape. I don't know what to call that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think it is worth counting some of the good from this year too. Like Killer Bunny earlier was talking about Shifting Tombs, which I think is
good content.
A great skilling update where it allows you to
content.
train skills in a diverse way, but it's also a relatively good moneymaker, although I would argue it should probably make more money. It was at least a step in the right direction.
Definitely.
I wish it was like 5 mil an hour, but
I would say Shifting Tombs is an amazing proof of concept for how we could deal with future distractions and diversions. To not become a daily scape, but an active thing that you can do that isn't so overpowered that you're forced to do it, but is actually just more of an alternative training method. Like, if I was developing distractions and diversions, they would be more to break up the monotony of training and less so to give large quantities of XP in a short period of time or anything like that, because that's when you get into the whole, I need to do this, otherwise I don't get best XP. But that's what I would love to see, because I think Shifting Tombs did a good job of being like, hey, do you hate X, Y, and Z? These skills? Well, here's a way you can not train them. I think they did a great job of that.
Yeah.
And then being like, hey, you done with those skills? Well, here's a way to make money then.
Yeah, they picked some of the most controversial, I think some of the most hated ones too.
Yeah.
Like dungeoneering and rune crafting, and I can't think of what else. And thieving is another good example where a lot of those skills are very hated by some people, and so I think they were good candidates for that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. And I think that's probably what really made it stick out the most is they picked skills that were kind of highlighted for their non-enjoyability of training them, right? Like, a lot of those skills are either really expensive to train or really annoying to train, and here was a way that gave you a chance to interact with the game environment in a way that tickled your brain, but also, when you became good enough, had some level of muscle memory in it for true, hardcore players, where you could just kind of literally zone out and almost let your subconscious take over to a degree is what I found with high-level Shifting Tombs. If I was dedicating my full attention to the game and nothing else, I could kind of complete a tomb almost in a trance state, which is very peaceful and very skill-like, very, very skill-like for me. That's what one of the things that different. I have generalized anxiety disorder, and amongst a lot of other problems, and when people are like, you just need to chill out, you just need to relax, you just need to focus. When it comes to a combat situation, my anxiety ramps up to a degree where that is no longer the case. And why I get so upset and angry with combat is because it triggers an emotional reaction in me that it should not. And it's no longer enjoyable because I'm experiencing something that maybe you'd experience yourself if you almost got T-boned by another car, or a car ran a red light and you had to slam your brakes on or something. Those are the types of feelings that I get when I'm struggling to see if a boss is using a special or something at the same time. My brain overreacts to those situations, unfortunately, and thus it creates a situation that I don't really find overly enjoyable, and is why I gravitate so strongly towards activities that are peaceful. So a little insight into the way that my brain works, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, those are really good points. I think it's absolutely why I love skilling in RuneScape too. Is if my brain is overwhelmed, it can distract me, while also being very relaxing. 100% agree with what you were saying there.
Yeah, so I mean, that's another thing that I think skilling should strive to do, is create an environment of zen, or the ability to, if you have the ability. Now, that's another thing, is like, skilling takes a certain mindset, right? Not everyone is meant for that. Just like not everyone is meant for PvM. There are certain types of people, I would say probably mainly like introverted people, that have the ability to kind of withdraw inside themselves and almost get into this efficiency routine. And it's really peaceful and rewarding for if you have that personality type. And people who have these, you know, type A personalities, I guess, for lack of a better term, and without going into like Myers-Briggs personality type level, that is, I think, the easiest way for me to kind of explain the maybe why somebody on the PvM side of things doesn't correlate that, or doesn't feel that way, and almost feels like it's a foreign concept, or almost, how could we, like, are you crazy? Why do you think that this would be fun? It's boring.
So these points are also, like, I mean, lead me into every time we talk about skilling profitability, there's always that one asshole who's like, skilling's not click intensive enough to make profits, which I hate. Like, fuck that argument. Like, there is a completely different skill that is required in having the patience to do skilling versus having the patience to do PvM. Completely
Definitely
different things
skill
required.
Set. Yeah, apples and oranges.
You can look at someone like David, who obviously he maxed, like he pulled that off, but
he comped too, didn't he?
And he's comped, but I'm talking about skilling here. I don't think.
Okay.
Well, I guess comp does require some skilling stuff, so yeah, that's fair. But like, so obviously, if there's an angle over him, he can do it. But he's still, like, at his core, hates skilling, from what I've picked up from him. Maybe not at his core, maybe that's a bit unfair, but like, it's not an activity he likes to do. If I, like, for example, if there was a 10 mil an hour skilling method that meant you had to click once every 5 seconds, like if woodcutting could make you 10 mil an hour, like if woodcutting magic trees or woodcutting elder trees made you 10 mil an hour, David would not be the person doing that. And I think most high-level PvMers would not be the person doing that. So to me, like, it's completely fair to have less click-intensive ways that make people good money. And I'm not necessarily advocating that 10 mil an hour is the right value for that. But I think there should be methods.
Here's a really weird statement for you. I think we overvalue money. I think we overvalue GP per hour in a lot of activities where we're like, that can't be 5 million gold an hour. Yes. Now, I'm not saying picking cabbages should be 5 million gold an hour, but because of the current baseline between skilling money per hour and PvM money per hour, saying that a skill that is fairly AFK can't make 3 to 5 million an hour is really a slap in the face, when you can AFK plenty of PvM activities and make that money. Like, spiritual mages is something that I've pretty much infamously learned from hearing you, constantly talk about, sing their praises for AFK money making. Like, there are plenty of PvM activities that are AFK, and the more skilled you are at PvM, the more activities become quote-unquote AFK to you. I know people who can AFK God Wars 2. I can't, but I know people who can.
Yeah.
So
the ability to grind one skill for hours at a time is in and of itself a skill.
Patience is a virtue we seem to have lost.
Yeah.
It's hard to go back to skilling once you start PvM. I mean, that's fair, and I don't advocate.
Who you are.
It is definitely depending on who you are, but like, I understand where that's coming from, and that is okay to have that point of view. 100%. You could be like, I went PvM and I don't want to go back to skilling, and I'm not advocating that you do. I feel like you should totally be able to do all the PvM you want without skilling even getting in your way if you got the money to back it up.
As someone who is 50-50 on these things, the only reason I do PvM more than I do skilling is because more gold can be made there.
Same here.
Considerably higher amounts of gold. Like, if in a perfect world where I could make racks money skilling, I would spend just as much time skilling as I do doing PvM. I enjoy both equally. I know I am an anomaly in the RuneScape community, but there are people who
you're an actual like hybrid, like you do both and you enjoy both.
Yep.
I do both, but don't enjoy both. Like, I look at PVM as a chore or a limited activity. I have a limited amount of energy I can dedicate to a PVM task in a certain day, and after that, I can't. Whereas David, I can literally hear him go for 10 hours straight at Virago or AOD or something. I don't know how he does that. I could never maintain that level of energy. Like, if, just to take in a parallel example here, Overwatch. I can only play that game for a couple of hours at a time generally because of the level of stress it puts on my body and mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, Killer Bunny bringing up some great ways to, obscurely make money with skilling. That's definitely true. You can make money via some obscure methods like making unfinished potions and stuff like that. But the point being is that, like, we have all these skills and they don't do anything beyond piss off the fact that PVMers have to train them to get them out of the way for boss portal. And
it's weird because the only way
skillers are bored.
The only reason you can make money off of Herblore, like Herblore is not supposed to be a money-making skill. It's just like, I think a sign of, well, I guess you could probably make money off of unfinished potions the whole time, and maybe that's a fair balance. But like, to me,
you don't get XP for unfinished potions though. You get like 1 XP. You'd have to make like 14 million of them so you can't say along the way, right? If you're selling them all.
Yeah, but to me, it's like there are these niche things, but overall, and like the skills that should make money don't. Like I don't know of a single gathering skill that does. I mean, I guess farming is technically a gathering skill, so there's
farming
one example.
I'm 114 farming for a reason,
Yeah, and I guess maybe fishing. I don't know. Is fishing rocktail still good money? I don't even know.
It's decent money. If you kill your own rock creatures, it's decent.
Like to me, if you have 99 in a gathering skill, you should be able to make at least 5 mil an hour.
Yeah,
that's kind of the vision that I have. And I don't. And if you think that's unfair, you can make 6 mil an hour killing spiritual mages. As Mage brought up earlier, I love to talk about them. So like, if you think that's unfair, spiritual mages are one of the most AFK things in the game, especially with the new sunken pyramid. You can just sit at the sunken pyramid, you could literally click every 5 minutes and make 6 mil an hour at the sunken pyramid. It's ridiculous.
I don't want to go to the sunken
pyramid. But it's not ridiculous. Like I don't think it's an issue. It's just like it's ridiculous when compared to PVM, where like we're fighting where most money making methods, you're lucky to make 3 mil an hour in skilling. The only places that really is different is rune crafting. At certain times, you can make more than that, and Herblore making unfinished potions, which, as Mage said, you also give up all experience with unfinished potions. People can complain, people can say that you don't get XP.
Fair, I'm trying to decipher Killer Bunny here, but he does say finished potions. But I'm trying to Grimy Fellstock and Morcellas. Well, that's a prayer renewal potion, I assume, right? So it's decent money for prayer renewal. Yeah, you can make good. I've actually done that before.
About Juju potions, which are.
Or making Juju potions. Like Juju potions is its own thing, which is definitely great. I just spent 7 million gold on probably I think like 300 or something farming Juju flasks. But I'm gonna be good on farming Juju flasks for the next like 8 months now. Like if everyone starts making those, the price will go through the floor. That's what's another thing that needs to be understood about items like that. They are so expensive and good money because they're a very niche market. And I'm all for niche markets. We need more of them. We need lots of niche markets. So yes, making Juju potions is a delicious niche market that needs to be supported, and in my opinion, actually needs a little bit of a rework, just to be brought up into the times. That's all. But like Herblore Habitat is a great little piece of content that can make you a lot of money, and that's a great example of the direction we should be going in with other skills like mining and smithing. And I think farming is already fine where it is. I would love to see farming get an expansion, not a rework, an expansion to it.
Farming is fine where it is, although I think farming should be the best way to get herbs.
It should be the best way to get herbs, definitely.
I think, and a lot of people are like, well, if if you remove X drop from PVM, then there won't be enough in the game. Yes, they should remove X drop from PVM and then increase it from the gathering skill. Like, if they were to remove all herbs tomorrow from PVM, I would also want them to increase the amount of herbs you get from farming, like 5 times or something like that.
See, I love doing farming runs. I try to do about 3 a day. And so that's, you know, an hour and a half between each run for the herb to grow, 90 minutes. So right there, I can only do 3 a day, right, for the herb runs. I mean, I could do more, but that's what? How long am I? That's 1, 2, 3. That's like 5 hours of playing right there. All you want is Harvest Moon. You're not wrong. I want the farming skill to become Harvest Moon. I've definitely not ever been shy to admit that. And I don't think it's going to happen. But that's what I'm saying, is farming is great. I love farming. It's fine where it is. But I would love a farming expansion. I know it's probably not going to happen. But I think farming is just a great example of how a skill should be. I don't know. That came out really weird. I literally have had one inshore
It
today.
is. I have an issue with farming where it's not that I think it's a bad skill. It's just not a skill for me because I like to grind, and farming doesn't let you grind.
Farming is here's what I like about farming. Farming requires a little bit of dedication and requires coordination, and that's what I appreciate about farming, and consistency as well. If you're not consistent about it and you're not coordinated about it, yeah, it's a pain in the ass and it takes forever to get done. But that's actually what I appreciate about it. But I am a minority in like the majority. Like, I don't even know how to say that, but not many people would agree with that point, I would assume.
I think maybe the primary change I would make to farming is I wouldn't spread it out as much. I think that maybe is my biggest issue with farming. It's like, it's twofold with farming. Like, first of all, you can only do it, you know, you have to wait on it, which is like, and then, by the way, these aren't things that I think are wrong. These are just things that demotivate me from doing it. So it's not, like that, not that I think that, once again, I think diversity in skills is good. A skill I don't like is completely fine. But to me, I think farming patches, like, I think there should be a farm that you go to that has a bunch of patches that you pick through once every few hours, and that's how it works. Not that you have to teleport all over the world to get to them.
And I'd love to just literally give you my mental design document, but yes, I agree with you. Continue though.
No, I think that's all I had to say.
Because I completely agree that like teleporting all over the world is kind of dumb and silly and really kind of counterintuitive to what you're trying to get people to do here, which is train a skill. That being said, I would love if there were maybe like Play Your Own House plots that you could purchase from a vendor around the world, and you could only have one at a time. And they really were only based upon like your level, I guess, to start off, really, and we can work from there. But I would love it if you could go and be like, I just picked up the Falador, you know, farm, and now that's where I farm. I go there every few hours, and whatever resources that farm has available to me is going to be dependent upon the level of the farm and my level to acquire said farm. So if I'm 99 farming, you know, maybe I have like the Yanil farm or something, maybe the Brimhaven farm, I don't know. Location doesn't matter right now for this concept. Priff farm, you're right. The Tower of Voices would have some beautiful farm atop it or something, but hydroponics. We got to grow upwards now because we don't have any space left. But for real, I would love to see that. And then like you shift where you farm in the biome is completely different and really dependent upon where you are, and you have everything available to you at the highest level farm. But at the lowest level farm, it's maybe just an herb patch or maybe it's one allotment and an herb patch or something, you know. And in the higher level, the bigger your farm gets, the bigger farm you're allowed to manage and whatnot. You know, the NPC that's in charge of selling these farms to you will judge you based off of your reputation from your previous farms. Like, there's a lot of mechanics that could be involved in this that I could literally spend hours talking about. And you know what? I think it might be time that I actually write some design documents and put my money where my mouth is so people can pick them apart and we can maybe open a dialogue that way. I don't know. Let's see what Mr. Killer Bunny has to say. I think another nice thing would be if you could craft a sawmill. You could not have to pay for making the planks. That would be interesting. It would devalue the construction skill significantly, which I don't know if that's a bad thing or not in its current state. We get some small crafting, some decent price parts to get mahogany planks. That's an interesting idea. If you get in a rhythm with farming, it becomes more fluid. I completely agree with that. Like, that's why and I wanted to do, and I could do a farming run. I said I would do a farming run to Elite to kind of show off what I do for my runs. Oh God, hang on. Let me not actually do that. That might have broken XSplit. Did you want to interject me?
I don't think that was Elite who asked that.
Okay, I don't remember who asked
someone, it. Yeah, it was someone who doesn't talk very much in chat. But I don't remember who it was.
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, I kind of like your idea for fun. I mean, that was Shed Dice 182 apparently.
What?
That was the person who asked if you were making a farming guide.
Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna like my farming guide generally starts with the herbs and moves from there. I look good animations right there, but basically, you can do the farming run in any order you want. I've only kind of tweaked it to try and be based off of the gear that I have available to me, and that's one thing that I've definitely acquired over time that a lot of people aren't going to have, you know, is like my farming runs are probably, let's see, this aura, when I activate it, I think it's 20 minutes long, so I think, and it's about half done when I'm done. So it's like a 10-minute run, but I have all the microtransaction items and stuff, you know, that I've just accrued over years of playing. So, like, it's probably double that time if you don't have all those unlocks. And I can understand that's a lot of, you know, that's frustrating.
Did you see if they buffed the fuck out of lunar teleports?
No.
Lunar teleports now teleport you directly to the patches, the farming patches. Not lunar, Livid Farm.
You could totally
on
use
the lunar spell book.
The crystal. Sorry, go ahead.
So now, the Livid Farm teleport to Ardone takes you to the Ardone farming patch. The Falador teleport takes you to the Falador farming patch. They did a huge quality of life update for those teleports. It's pretty cool.
Wow, I need those. Killer Bunny, totally right. I don't have the crystal teleport seed on me until the recent update a couple of months ago when I kind of like started playing again. Really, they made it unlimited. It didn't used to be unlimited, thus I didn't include it in my run because it costs money to constantly recharge. So this run is actually based around using quick teleports for Prifddinas specifically. But if you have the superior version or you're willing to pay, totally can shave off another like 10 seconds. You'll notice I use tactical surges. If you have a long straight away, always use your surge. You know, another thing that I'm not using that you could use here is mobile. I don't have the mobile perk, which means my surges take longer to cool down, but my run is short enough that I don't care. And these are the types of things that, like, I am not a perfect min-maxer, right? Like, just because I'm a hardcore skiller doesn't mean that I'm a total min-maxer. I enjoy doing this. Like, there's a level of methodicity here. Like, I don't think that's even the proper way of saying it.
Problem with presets, Mr. Banana Slice, is as a PVMer, I don't have any presets that I can give to farming. It really sucks. I basically have to overwrite presets all the time.
That's a pain in the ass.
Like, we need 20 fucking free presets. It's so frustrating. I would almost be happier in a world where I had 0 presets versus having like the 6 that I do, because it's more frustrating than when I had to always manually take stuff out. Having to do repetitive tasks that I don't have a preset for just pisses me off every time.
I don't blame you, but I'll take the 6 and deal with the I don't mind reprogramming them that much, but I love presets. The game, in my opinion, got way better when presets came about, and I'm hoping that when the bank rework comes to place, we're gonna get more presets. But that might be wishful thinking. I don't know.
They better give us more presets for free. I think they've said that is one of the things.
I thought they did too,
but who knows?
I wonder if we'll even get the bank rework in 2017.
I never expected the bank rework to come out in 2017. I think we'll probably get a beta, but it's not going to be a fully released product.
I'm fine with the beta. I just want to see the proof that they're working on anything. That's really all.
If the September update, does not have some amazing announcements in it, I think you'll see a different Hannah who is actually frustrated, because at that point they will have missed, basically, to me, like I said at the beginning of this show, there was supposed to be a 3-month lull between expansions, so I have not felt like I can complain.
You've been
There's a
curbing your
lull in
expectations. Fairly, you've been
if
fair.
September comes and goes, if September comes and goes and there's not big updates, there is something wrong.
I'm glad you're willing to admit that, because that's, that's very open-minded, and I think it's fair to have the opinion that you have, as long as you also have the opinion that you also have. Your latter opinion kind of justifies your former opinion, in my opinion. I said opinion 3 times there in a row.
You said opinion a lot.
I did say opinion a lot. I'm very opinionated, apparently. If my voice sounds a little like echoey, it's because I'm trying to do the farming run on my left-hand monitor, and my mic's is over on the right-hand side of my desk. RuneScape would generally be center monitor, but it's a 2119 resolution, and nobody fucking wants to see that shit.
So, I'm probably gonna have to end the stream relatively soon. I don't know if you're gonna keep going without me. I don't know what your plan is.
I was gonna go for about 20 more minutes. Until 3 o'clock. That's about what I have in me mentally. I've literally not eaten anything today. I've had two Ensure lights, so I'm very tired.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna end it sooner than that. Well, definitely gonna end it. So I'm gonna end it in a couple minutes here.
That's fine.
I think
I'll probably just blab for a bit, wind down, finish this farm run for sure, field a few questions, and take off. That is not the button I wanted to press.
I love how before we started the stream, I was like, we should avoid talking about mine and smithing. And then we basically spent the whole stream talking about mine and smithing. But
at least we kept it to, like, skilling broadly.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
It was like a loophole.
We avoided the thing I didn't want to do, which was have a bunch of angry people yelling about mine and smithing, and instead kind of talked about the issue at large, which I think was a much healthier discussion to have.
Yeah, I agree. Why aren't you eating? Oh, I didn't really explain that. I have some ulcers in my upper and lower intestines, and the food that I eat, any food that I eat, is pretty painful once it gets to that point. So I'm just trying my hardest to avoid eating, I guess, because it causes me a lot of pain, like crippling pain. I gotta lay down sometimes for hours, and it's really depressing. So it's actually easier to just not eat. But I'm trying to also eat at the same time, like trying to still get like calories and vitamins and whatnot. So basically I've been drinking nutritional drinks to kind of like make sure that I'm not like depriving my body too much, at least. But pretty much the doctors need me to have stopped all my medication so the bacteria that causes the ulcers will proliferate. They'll see a positive, and then my insurance will cover the medication. So basically, my insurance will not cover the medication in a proactive scenario. They will only cover it in a reactive scenario. I have to be basically in excruciating pain before they'll give me the medicine that fixes the problem. So, thanks for that. But, that's why, basically.
Well, before I hop off, I will plug my new podcast.
Heck yeah.
You can find it. It's a podcast about pop culture. We talked about Star Wars: The Force Awakens in the first episode. It is called Things We Love. You can find it by searching Things We Love on your favorite podcast client, or you can go to thingsweloveornot.com and check it out. Yeah. And thanks everybody for tuning in, and probably be back. Well, actually, no. We will not be back next week because I will be on vacation at the beach. So fuck everybody. I'll be at the beach. Once I get back from the beach, we'll probably do another skilling and chilling stream, I would guess.
Yeah, I'm going to try to keep this going. I enjoy, skilling and chilling.
Yeah.
So
consider that my announcement to you that I'll be leaving this coming Saturday and
fair
be
enough.
gone for a week. So yeah,
I will make sure to try and find a replacement. Maybe we can get David on and talk next week. We'll see.
All right. David for a skilling stream. GG.
Well, he doesn't have to skill. He just has to talk to me. I mean, and that we'll probably end up talking about combat the entire time, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
I'm sure he can complain about Livid Farm a bunch too.
I've been like kind of wanting to do Livid Farm to see what the hype's all about, and by hype I mean
do it together. The quality of life updates they did. They also made Livid Farm easier in some ways. You and I should do a Livid Farm stream or something. I've never done it. I bet you now that all the quality of life updates have been done, it's probably much nicer.
Yeah, hopefully. That was kind of like my hope, and I just want to get it out of the way. And it's farming. Like, it would be really funny if I actually enjoyed it.
Right? All right. See you later.
Cool beans. Thanks for stopping by. So I will be continuing for a few more minutes here. Just to kind of wrap up and make sure YouTube chat stays on the screen. Thank you, XSplit. Behave. But that's my farming run. You can kind of see the 20-minute aura kind of right at the end here. This is the last patch I got to harvest. 10 minutes is right about at the end. So it's a 10-minute endeavor if you have the skilling outfit for both, or at least the teleport part, the head of the herblore outfit and the farming outfit. Will give you a really quick herb run, and the grapevines start at 96, so this is not really part of your average farm run, I guess. But if you are high-level farming, you're going to want to include that. And the wildy run, if you have the wildy sword, like, do it. It's so much money in the long run. Like, a few hundred of those is, a few million. They're like 15k a pop, so they add up. And if you can do that a few times a day, it's not bad money. It's not bad money at all in the long. I would say I probably make about 30 million gold a month if I consistently farm, and that's peanuts, right? For a skiller, it's not. That's real profit right there. And I guess that's what you kind of have to decide there is, like, can you handle that being real profit for you? Because, if you feel like collecting money, that might be an issue. I don't know. Hey, Jake. Just got home from the state fair. Nice. I'm going all right. I'm going for another, like, 10, 15 minutes, I guess. I haven't really eaten much today, so my energy levels are pretty low, but, yeah. I'll definitely be probably streaming. I'm going to put this video live again, as a vodcast on Twitch, so if you missed any of it, it's going to replay from the start right after the fact here. But, yeah, if you have any questions, now is the time to field them. If you want to possibly extend the show beyond the next 15 minutes, you can try to bait me with questions, and I will continue talking until I physically feel ill. But if that's not the case, then I probably will wrap up shortly. Oh, 11 things to finish. Oh, one thing I didn't. 11 things to finish on comp, though. That's pretty good. One thing that I'm pretty happy about that is un-RuneScape related is I built my RetroPie last night. For those of you who are unfamiliar with RetroPie, it's just, it's an emulation operating system that's based off of Debian Linux and runs very nicely on a little Raspberry Pi. So I purchased me a Raspberry Pi Model 3B and put it together and, flashed it with this ROM of RetroPie, and then I just transferred a bunch of ROMs over to it, hooked up a Super Nintendo controller, and been playing all my childhood games. Like, I'm super excited about that. And to top it all off, it even saves my progress, intuitively. I can actually use the save function built into each ROM, which is amazing compared to, like, basic computer emulation where that save states kind of need to be the thing and whatnot. So, like, I'm really impressed with Emulation Station, RetroPie, all that fun stuff. Like, it's really well designed. Clue Scroll, or did you augment the Crystal Tinderbox or Wise 3 Enhanced Excalibur for fire making? And do you have the rest of the Fire XP bonuses? I am currently only using the Ring of Flames or Fire and the Flame Gloves, an Avatar boost, and the portables. Those are the only boosts that I'm using. I'm not bothering with anything that degrades. I'm just not into that. Fire-making's art. Fire-making costs so little that I'm not too worried about like increasing its XP or the amount of time that it takes, because I should be done with it this month. It's a fairly quick skill. Not too worried about it. Let's see here. But yeah, which games? Well, all of them. If the game was ever made for Super Nintendo, it's on there. But I'm mainly interested in playing the Donkey Kongs again. I played about a couple hours of the original Donkey Kong. Got up to the third world in the first a couple hours. So that's been fun. Really enjoying that. Looking forward to playing DKC 2 and 3. Tinderbox Augmented doesn't degrade. Wise Perk 3 doesn't degrade. Takes your energy. That's a degrade mechanic. I don't want to invest money in charging my divine charges. And if that doesn't degrade your divine charges, please let me know, because then I'm an asshole and I should totally be using them. But that's been my reasoning for not using them. Chrono Trigger, got it. Yep. Secrets of Evermore, probably. There's 700 games. I don't think there are more than 700 games for the Super Nintendo. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I think the only thing I don't have is like the unreleased perfect version of Star Fox 2 that you're gonna get with the Super Nintendo Classic. That I'm not going to spend $300 just to get that one wrong. But someone's gonna leak it, right? So I'll just put it on when that's the case. But yeah, there's so many RPGs that I never got to play as a kid. I was not an RPG fan until about the age of 13. So any RPG for the Super Nintendo, including The Legend of Zeldas, I have never played, and I am just like so excited to play them. Like Link to the Past, big one I really want to play. Tons of games that I'm really excited to play on the Super Nintendo that I almost feel like I would love it if I could just get a like capture card from my PC and record it. I feel like that would be a fun thing to do, but it's like on the flip side, don't know if I really want that to happen. That would actually be a fairly expensive upgrade. So I'm just kind of enjoying that situation. And if you got left out in the rain over the NES Classic or the SNES Classic, RetroPie really fills that hole, and then some. Yeah, Link to the Past, Final Fantasy 3. Yeah, all the Final Fantasy games that were on SNES I have, including like the stories, like the ones that weren't released in America. I have pretty much every game that's been either whether it's Japanese, European, or an American release. But of course, due to legal concerns, I will only play the games that I originally had as a child. No fingers crossed or anything. But Nintendo basically did that to themselves by short-selling the SNES Classic on purpose. They did it to the NES Classic, they did it to the SNES Classic, and I'm not going to take it anymore. So I done and went and built my own. I actually called Nintendo back in 95 and 96 with a sub 6 full complete. They told me if it hooked up to video and submitted it would have the record. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's how Nintendo used to handle it back in the day. Like if you could, like Nintendo Power, if you could like send them a snapshot, like they had this awesome record book for you. I was too young for that to be in like any record books, but holy crap, I'm surprised to what degree my muscle memory actually has held up in like Donkey Kong Country and stuff, in the games that I played religiously as a kid. It's fun. I'm having a good time. So that's kind of like something I've been doing in the evening now ever since yesterday. Say it like I've done it more, like it's been going on for more than one day, but yeah, I've been really enjoying my one night so far with it, and I look forward. Zombies Ate My Neighbors is another big one that I'm really looking forward to playing. I played for a little bit. Horrible games from my childhood, like Super Putty, I'm looking forward to hating again. Stuff like that. Games done quick, that record is trash, right? Yeah. That's the thing is, like, I immediately... I think one of the reasons why a lot of my muscle memory is intact for Donkey Kong Country and whatnot is because of games done quick. And I watch a lot of speedruns. I think I'm employing some of the stuff that I maybe have learned kind of from watching speedruns of old games now. So, If you have $100 lying around, it is so easy to build a RetroPie. It literally took me 15 minutes to put the thing together and 5 minutes to get it like hooked up and running. The documentation was so easy, and yeah, the parts were cheap. I got two SNES, two knockoff SNES controllers that were surprisingly good quality from iBuffalo, and yeah, got a little Arduino case that fit the Raspberry Pi 3 for like $15. The Raspberry Pi itself is like $30, and then the charger's another like $10. Like, sheesh, by the end of it. And if you only need one controller, that's in like, it's only $15 right there. I bought 2 controllers just in the hopes that maybe someone will play games with me. But worst case scenario, one for the PC, one for the RetroPie, So just picked up 2. The bandwidth patrol is in. I just got a PM from a Discord bot because I'm talking to myself in a chat. They call themselves the bandwidth police. They've disconnected my solo chat. That's funny. Anyway, I'm actually getting a legitimate pain from speaking, so I'm probably gonna wrap it up here. I'm a little dizzy. I need to have some food, some actual food. It's about that time of the day where I force myself to eat physical, like solid food, and then go cry for a few hours after the fact. Yeah, Mario Kart. My friend owned Mario Kart. I did not, but I loved that game. I had Mario Kart 64. That's another thing is RetroPie, not limited to SNES, can play like over 20 different consoles. Like, I'm super excited to buy an N64 controller, and even consoles I've never had, like the 3DO or the Amiga or a Commodore 64, does all that stuff too. Major A says you need 2 for yourself. Yeah, right. That's fair. Anyway, it's been fun. It's been fun. I'm glad we're keeping up with the chill skilling streams, whatever you want. Sunday skill and chill streams. Yeah, I gotta find some caloric intake here. I'm getting woozy. Hopefully we'll be keeping track with this, and we'll try to find a replacement for Hannah for next Sunday, because God knows I can't do 2-hour monologues right now. But yeah, thank you all for coming out, and also thank you for listening after the fact if you have done so. I hope this was a fun and enjoyable talk. We tried not to make it overly too negative. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Happy scaping. I'm gonna press this mute button and eventually it's actually gonna work. You're listening to Runescape Weekly for 1/11/2017. I'm your host, Magebit, with 16 years of RuneScape experience. Joining me today is Harley, DxthelNOOb, who changed my number of years of RuneScape experience. It's not technically 16 until, like, June, so that's technically not correct, but whatever. On today's show, make Mortania's Slayer Tower instance. I almost said make Mortania's Slayer Tower great again, and I'm really sorry about that. The problem with PvP updates. Thank you for tuning into this edition of RuneScape Weekly, and I apologize for the shitty intro. Yeah, I have like 5,000 ancestral energy right now. If you
just say ancestral?
Yes,
it sounded like you said ancestral.
Ancestral energy. That is something. That is a whole different boat.
Wow, it's DX bedtime.
Yeah, go to your room. Go to your room. I don't want.
I am in my room.
Damn it. Go to your someone else's room. Don't
go to your brother's room after that comment.
To solve that story regarding menopause, we cannot just have it open up. Just
Did you
like
say menopause?
That, freaking reason.
He said menopause.
No, I said menopause.
Just steal something from him. Even be like, listen, you lost my money in game. Just go break a window, something like that. Slash his tires. Problem solved. You're even. He's like,
make you take you out to dinner.
Yeah, right.
You're shouting down the pub tonight.
Pern is advising real world trading. Somebody get a Jmod in here.
the Wizard's Tower used to be akin to some asshole who pressed every freaking button in the elevator. You gotta stop it, eat floor.
I'm one of those people, actually, so
that
I
doesn't
can't
that doesn't surprise me.
That's science thing. Yeah.
Like, what's gonna stop me from just tasking 10 people with creating mule accounts for me? Like, I just...
Well, but are you gonna trust with giving them a party hat though? Like, you're not gonna trust other people.
I don't know.
That amount of
I don't
wealth,
know.
I don't think.
I'm a crazy high-rolling merchant. Maybe I can afford to have those people whacked as well. I don't know.
My Christmas scarves are some of the rarest items in the game. Like, I never see them on anybody else.
Fair enough.
And how often do you wear it?
I have it on right now.
Boom.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's freaking out and his name's Brownies.
Too many brownies, man. I'm freaking out. That is really good. Do whatever you want, man. Do whatever you want.
All right. Congratulations to Lit Up. To you got Lit Up. We got the first Talos kill at 2500 in ranged. Oh wait, that's Scottish. Damn it. You know what he did, right? He fell asleep watching Storage Wars, and all of a sudden he just in Frankfurt or something.
Yeah. Well, I just want Osborne's on the couch, just smoking a fatty, and he's just like, wait a second, I can totally put this in RuneScape. I fucking love Storage Wars. Bank bidders, yes.
No, I love the graphics on Ashdale.
I would.
But
yeah.
The world map is another story. The world map is crap. It looks like it was done by Mod Deg.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know what
Yeah, I don't know what that
against
means.
Egg. Yeah, like we've unlocked a beef apparently.
We can call that the Get. Brand exchange.
Exchange text, yeah. Get fucked. Anyway, sorry about that one. Old man is a bit skeptical of such power. He himself has not reached that, but his life experience has given him enough to know the dangers that come with such OP-ness. After the encounter...
Sorry. No, just the way he said that then. It's just
You've got a dirty mind, Panasius.
It's so, DX, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just actually surprised because I had a couple of hours sleep, obviously, before. No, that's not right. That's not right, Elite. When DX said he was actually surprised, he heard sexually surprised. Oh
DX,
my god!
would you give us the honors of reading the PSAs?
I'm sexually surprised.
I'm sexually surprised. I'm sexually surprised.
I'm sexually surprised.
Invention, you know, like most of the
Yeah, it's
stuff's
all
augmented. We're not
battery.
repairing stuff anymore.
This is what I'm hearing out of you, Harley. Everything's battery operated these days.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Newfangled
I love the
electricity
combat side
and
of
the
Invention.
portable Walkman players. I'm
Exactly.
sorry. I couldn't help myself.
What are we gonna have next? iPods,
It's not. Yeah, I gotta have little rune
Rune
pods.
pods.
Yeah.
Rune pods. I like it.
Try to say that 10 times real quick.
Which one? Say what? My entire sentence or a specific phrase?
What is
This is how you just confuse them.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. How's the weather out there, mate? Anyway.
All right. Well, there you go. There's your. I mean, I personally don't give a shit. You can have your Slayer Tower instance or not. I don't like. I'm not gonna be doing Slayer.
Well, you will be doing Slayer soon, so you will give a shit. Especially because you'll be doing it when the skill is like super popular and everybody's doing it, and it'll be even worse. But this
I
is
have Curdle's Dungeon.
something
I don't know what
that
this
you
fucker's talking about. Like, this isn't a problem for me.
Okay.
Basic English from now on, please, because that gets too weird for me. I'm just basic. I'm not bloody word heavy. What do you call it?
intelligent.
Oh,
Sorry, I had to throw that one.
Oh god.
That's a.
I just
That
killed
was
Mage.
Oh.
that was a shot.
I don't like most of the skilling pets myself. It's Malcolm and Bulbasaur are the only two I like.
Did you say
And-
Bulbasaur? I thought he was a Pokemon.
Yeah,
Okay.
but don't you know a crossover?
But
It's
I
actually
mean that-
Venusaur.
I mean the Herbivore pet, whichever one. No,
I'll tell you why it's Venusaur. Bulbasaur's bulb isn't unfurled. That pet's bulb is unfurled. The bulb unfurls in the second evolution of Bulbasaur, and then in its final evolution, it's a full flower. Excuse me? Sorry.
Nerd.
I played a little bit of Pokemon Gen. I know my Gen 1s, alright? Anything beyond Gen 1, I'm clueless, but I love my Gen 1s. I worked at a place, and the computer that I used for work and RuneScape was really slow, and I was AFK fishing at the fishing guild many years ago when the fishing guild was still cool. And I had the screen up because I was switching places, and my boss comes in from behind me, and I can hear him coming up, and the computer freezes, and I can't get RuneScape behind me because I could hear him coming. I pretended to be angry, and I was like, oh, and I got up from my desk, and I pretended to trip, and I ripped the power cord with the back of my computer. Oh, oops.
What we really need, I just realized, so we really need also in our player-owned houses is our player-owned sex dungeon. I think it's
Definitely.
time just to bring
That's
it
what's
fully
That is what
into
RuneScape's missing. Totally.
Player-owned dominatrix.
The guy wanted to date my daughter who used to play RuneScape, and I said, well, I want your old account first.
I want to see a history of your account offenses. If I see any mutes for vulgar language...
No, I just wanted him to loot it while he couldn't remember what was on it. And I said, well, he couldn't remember his passwords or anything. I said, well, you got to go home and recover that account and give it to me.
Trading your daughter's emotions for a gamble at a party hat.
Maybe we could speak to the Saradomin god or something so I can rewind the quest so it...
The Saradomin god? You mean Saradomin?
Now, I know exactly what you're feeling now.
You got a big-ass thing in front of your face as you're trying to... That's how I try to do any video.
Yeah, and a microphone as well.
So you know what my wife feels like then.
Oh, God.
I have to go there. I have to go there.
We're off.
It's pre-show. It's pre-show. We can do that.
Oh, I didn't realize. You're just making the rules now, huh? We can be misogynistic as we want in the pre-show. Just don't do it on the actual show. I always request something like double my size, so it's like, hey, you can always get fatter, right?
Why'd you gain so much weight? Oh, I needed this cool Herblord t-shirt to fit.
And the difference with that is you can create a new character in RuneScape. You can't create a new character in Earth. Like, that's not how that works. So, it's not the best comparison, but...
What, you mean if I get horribly burnt by a dragon, I can't just go back to Lumbridge and respawn and be all happy and whole again?
Yeah, unfortunately... First of all, if you get burned by a dragon in real life, we have other things we need to talk about, like where you found the dragon. But, because you might be able to pay for those medical bills by, I don't know, discovering dragons.
I was actually going to say something different and then thought, thanks for pointing that out for everyone.
If when I died, I respawned in my hometown, I would be killing myself constantly. I'd be like, I'm sick of. It's like, all right, I've been hanging out with this guy for like 8 hours now. I'm bored. We've been playing Xbox. All right, I'm going home now. I just shoot myself in the head. He doesn't even have to deal with the mess because death comes in a portal, just opens up and my body falls through it. You show up in Death's office and he's just like, yo, you want your iPad? I'm like, yeah. He's like, $5. Like, God damn it, Death.
How much XP would you get for disassembling Super Compost?
I don't know. I would assume that you shouldn't be focusing on the XP gain here and rather what it's doing to the economy.
A shitload of it?
Apart from that, and a couple of things I want to point out in this video so far, whoever done the editing, shoot yourself. Because
wow.
You go from one guy to the other, and it stays on the middle guy, and the one on the right hasn't slept in 2017 so far. I think that's mod days.
He's in days, clearly.
This guy here, right, he's the kind of person that would drive up to an airport, notice a sign saying airport left, and then go back home.
He's the kind of person that should have their ability to make posts on the internet taken away from them, in my opinion.
You can move to, I think it's North Korea if you like. I think they might share similar views on internet usage.
Me and Kim Jong-un are super tight. We hang out with Dennis Rodman and play basketball together in tanks, so don't even talk to me.
Don't get me started on the Game Breaker title.
It looks so good, DX. Like I would be so jealous of anyone who had it.
I would be too.
Yeah, that's why I'm jealous. That's why I'm actually jealous of Zenil.
Why your genitals?
No, I love you, Zenil.
I also want to see like one of those devs who I don't know, like he's really stoned the whole time and he just has a terrible memory and just forgets about stuff. So
I didn't know we were working on RuneScape today. Are we live? Hi everybody.
Stoned. Oh my god. We give them Modluna's lab coat.
That doesn't make any sense. There's gonna be like 50 people. That's one lab coat.
They're just instead of wearing it, they're gonna sniff the damn thing.
You're a fucking weirdo, man.
Oh. I'm gonna beat you, fatty.
I've decided my mod name would be Mod Blunt, because I'd bluntly tell you what's going on.